everyone, it's Anna here. I'm back for a new video series that I've been wanting to bring to life on this channel for a while actually, as I can really see that it's needed. So this new series is called the Healthy Middle Way Parenting. And I can see that this series is needed because in my journey reading all these parenting books, following various parenting experts and observing kids and parents, I've noticed a very big swing happening. So in our quest to do better for our kids, we have swung from authoritarian parenting, which is how a lot of us were raised, to what I call perfectionism parenting. And I did a video called Parenting Advice Has Gone Too Far a while back, where I express all of this in more detail, and I will leave the link to the video in the description of this video. This perfectionism parenting trend is what's called various different names, including gentle parenting, respectful parenting. There are so many names to it. But I call it perfectionism parenting because I feel there is so much dogma and micromanaging and a lack of nuance and context. So it's feeding off our fear of repeating the mistakes our parents have made and to protect our children from experiencing any form of childhood trauma. So it actually comes from a really good place, but it's not effective. And what I'm observing is that not only parents are very confused because they are realizing that putting the parenting expert advice in practice isn't working for them, but also kids these days are way too self-centered. And there are a lot of teachers who are complaining about this. And whilst there is a lot of truth to the gentle parenting movement, it's just gone too far to the extreme, right? Which is why it's not effective and there is a balance that needs to be brought back in. So my aim with this series is to explain where I see the healthy middle way and to bring a lot of clarity for parents who may currently be confused and stuck. I'm open to the idea that gentle parenting may work for gentle children, but the majority of us don't have gentle kids. And my kids personally are little gangsters with strong personalities, and this style just does not work. So bear in mind, this is my opinion and experience with it all. So if gentle parenting is currently working for you, then this video series isn't for you. And please keep using your intuition on this one. I'm not sure if I shared that before, but this YouTube channel was actually born out of a deep compassion for parents, especially during the pandemic and the lockdowns. I saw very clearly so much pressure put on parents, especially where I live in Australia, where we were asked to wear all the hats, working full-time whilst homeschooling and parenting all at the same time. And so much compassion was given to nurses and teachers, but I didn't see anyone talking about how hard it must have been for parents. And I see that very clearly, that there is a push and an agenda in general to make parents do more and more. We've lost our village, but then we expect it to do everything and to do it perfectly. And it's a very unrealistic way of parenting, and it's also to pacify parents in their parenting approach, where we're slowly losing our sense of authority and our trust in our parenting abilities. So I'm hoping that this video series will give you the confidence to reclaim your authority and find that realistic balance, that middle path. So speaking of finding balance, the way I always picture it is with this image of the pendulum swing. This is the image that really speaks to me and is applicable to so many areas of our life to review and reflect on, with the goal to find balance. So let's start with authoritarian parenting on the left. Authoritarian parenting is a very top-down, hierarchical approach, the saying, "because I said so." There isn't much collaboration or explanation at all, and it's more of a dictatorship. And often there is physical or emotional abuse that's present. It's all about control through fear and dominance. And it's often effective in the short term. What quicker way to get kids to comply than by scaring them into compliance, right? And this approach is solely parent-led. So I don't want to say too much on this side of the pendulum because I think it's pretty self-explanatory and we understand what that is. So now let's have a look at the other side, the far right. We have the gentle parenting and what I call the perfectionism parenting. So whilst authoritarian parenting is solely parent-led, I feel like gentle parenting is child-led. It's all about the child. Everything is centered around the child. And of course, there are various degrees to this, but I'm talking about the extreme so I can make this point today. And I feel this one is rooted in distrust of ourselves as parents and distrust of our kids' abilities as well. So to me, it's also based on fear and control. You could say it's the light side of it, whereas the authoritarian parenting was using the dark side of fear and control. And here is some stuff that's shared all over social media that I've seen, is that we have to acknowledge all the feelings, that you need to solely focus on connection, where connection is seen as fragile, We can no longer blame our kids for our feelings because their behavior can't possibly make us feel anything. Every interaction needs to be scripted and reverse engineered so we get it right. And ultimately, there is a lack of nuance and context, because if there's anything I know for sure, I've got 3 kids, is that there is no one-size-fits-all with parenting. And often boundaries with this style of parenting are very loose. It's more of a peer or a friend relationship with your child. And there isn't enough exposure to failure and disappointments, which creates a range of issues in itself, right? Because kids do need that exposure to grow into who they are. And when you look at it, you can clearly see it has become very dogmatic, and it's too much about micromanaging. It's drowning in the detail. It's meddling too much in everything. It's about, you have to do everything. It's about co-sleeping and homeschooling and wearing your child all the time and, all that stuff. But in my mind, effective parenting isn't actually so much about doing all the things. That style of parenting is exhausting, actually. And all of this to me is completely overthinking the parenting game. So now let's discuss the middle way of parenting, the healthy middle way, which is authoritative parenting. And this is the parenting style that was actually proven through research to be the most effective style of parenting in the 1960s. So we've known for a while what works. And the difference today is that we also understand that modeling is paramount, so we have added the importance of inner work to the mix, which I'm all for. So this style of parenting is a collaborative approach where it's a two-way relationship. It's not solely parent-led, and it's also not solely child-led. It's in the middle. And it's understanding that our children have as much to teach us as we have to teach them, and that they have their own unique soul and goals for their life. And it's a relationship rooted in enjoying each other most of the time. It's about understanding ourselves and our needs as parents, and also understanding what is age-appropriate behavior for our kids so we can set everyone up for success as much as possible. It's all based on a strong foundation of love, trust, teamwork, and boundaries. And there is a lot of education and discussion that happens. I talk to my kids about a wide range of subjects very often, and not just after a conflict. Of course that happens. I mean that it's embedded in our everyday lives. It's actually something that I do constantly, all the time. It's second nature to me at this point. So talking to them about the importance of understanding our feelings, what makes a good friend, that we are allowed to make mistakes, but we should also make amends, that their mom isn't a robot, healthy eating and lifestyle, why they can't have screen whenever they want. Like, I basically use anything that happens in our everyday life as an opportunity to discuss things and teach, and also try to understand, their perspective and make them think about it and observe. But it's also understanding with this style of parenting that we have a very important role of leadership and influence with our kids. An effective leader is fair, creates psychological safety, sets strong, transparent values, teaches and discusses various subjects, like I've just said, and sets manageable expectations, and also understands that sometimes they have to have the final say. They have to lay down the law sometimes as the need arises. And they have to fully step into their authority and kill the vibe sometimes, so to speak. That authority is deeply rooted in a strong foundation of values and love. That's the difference between authoritative parenting and authoritarian parenting. So it comes out very different than authoritarian parenting. You may still raise your voice at your kids sometimes. Trust me, I know. I've got 3 kids and they are very strong-minded. Sometimes it's absolutely required and needed, but your kids will understand why you did it, because things are clear, because you've discussed, the family values and all of that, and you don't yell at them constantly. And in my experience, kids will actually respect you for it, because they need that strong leader. They need you to put those boundary walls so they feel more secure and they trust your ability to parent. And I actually have a great anecdote to discuss on this. I had a friend one time who was having major issues with her 2 kids. She was just at the end of her rope, and she told her kids, I can't do this anymore. And guess what her 6-year-old daughter told her? She said, Mom, you're the adult. You need to be in charge. Kids know how it's supposed to work. They have an intrinsic way of knowing, like, the natural way of things. So, I feel like this anecdote really encompasses everything I'm trying to say here. That you need to embody that leadership, and that's also where inner work comes in. So with this style of parenting, there are firm boundaries. So being strict and owning it, And there are consequences for behavior. So, for toddlers, obviously, I prefer natural consequences because, they don't really understand and it makes sense. But as they grow in age, you will actually need to move to other consequences, logical consequences as much as possible. And, you can discuss that with them, right, to make it fair, but consequences are needed. I actually don't agree with the fact that you can parent without any consequences. So embodying leadership means that this style of parenting is rooted in strong confidence within yourself and being so attuned to yourself and your kids that you'll be able to feel into each moment and know how to respond. And, we need to spend a lot of time teaching them that their actions can impact other people negatively. I don't agree that with the narrative out there saying that kids can't make us feel anything, that they're not responsible for our feelings. In real life, people's behavior can have consequences on others. So I want my children to know that. I want them to know that they are not the center of the universe, that their actions have consequences, and that they need to be considerate of others. Like I've mentioned before, the intention behind authoritarian parenting and authoritative parenting is very different. With authoritarian parenting, you just want to be the boss. You just want to be right and respected just because of your title. The intention behind authoritative parenting is an intention of love, but with the understanding that love actually doesn't mean rescuing, cuddling, or micromanaging. True love is understanding how important it is to protect our kids from themselves and from the world, which means that we need to help them build that strong integrity of character to teach them right from wrong, right? So they can ultimately grow up to become secure adults who can thrive in their life and also contribute positively to society. So with authoritative parenting, there is conflict, and you can't be afraid of that conflict because it actually serves a purpose, and it's a reality of life. It's about allowing for that conflict to occur sometimes without thinking that you're failing anyone or anything. And this is the reality of any relationship, and in my opinion, it actually matters much more than all the detail. And a very important distinction between authoritative parenting and gentle parenting is that with authoritative parenting, we do not lose our humanity in the process. Because, that's what I feel gentle parenting does, that we forget about our own needs and emotions, and it's all about the child, and we just need to meditate our feelings away. And I think when you do that, you do a huge disservice to yourself because it's extremely unhealthy, and these emotions will eventually come out in unhealthy ways. But also, it's a disservice to your children because you aren't being authentic with them. More than anything, children want an authentic parent, someone who is real, passionate, who has this spark in them, right? Which means the full spectrum of emotions. And when you do that, you release the need to be perfect and to always get it right. And it's so freeing. Just like our kids go through dysregulated periods, life also throws us curveballs, as parents sometimes, and we might not always be the exact parent we want to be, and that's absolutely okay. That's when you repair and discuss things with your children so they remember that you are only human, just like them. And it's actually very liberating for children to understand that. You also make mistakes, just like them. This healthy middle way of parenting is actually going against the grain these days. It's bringing back the trust we have in ourselves as parents, the trust we have in our kids, and understanding that the connection we have with our kids is not as fragile as we think it is. It's not because you don't do all the things and that you have conflict with them from time to time that the connection is going to be gone. The connection I have with my kids is incredible, and I don't homeschool, I don't co-sleep, I don't do all this stuff, and I also have conflict with them, and they would probably describe me as a strict parent because with my kids I have to be. And you know what? They respect me so much for that because I spend the time to explain and educate on the reasons why I do this. And when kids respect your authority as a parent, this authority coming from a loving and collaborative place, they actually can relax knowing that their parents know what they're doing. And they might not like it. Of course, they will scream, they will protest. Of course, I know all of that. But on the other side, they will understand and accept it. And I've seen this happen. I can feel the energy of people so well that I can feel that in my kids. Whereas with the gentle parenting kids, I feel there is a lot more anxiety with children because they don't have the boundary walls that they actually need. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and please leave me a comment if you have any questions. Obviously, I'm explaining all of this in a way that makes sense to me, but don't hesitate to leave me a comment if you need me to clarify anything. Thanks for watching. See you next time.